Today I am sharing 5 classic films you may want to check out during this early spring season. Hi, welcome to My Mom Thinks I'm Cool, a channel made by and for pop culture misfits. When early spring rolls around, I find myself going to grab Enchanted April. This to me is a quintessential spring film. It tells the tale of 4 women who are virtual strangers who get together to pool their resources so that they can escape rainy England and go to a seaside villa/castle in Italy. The film is set in the 1920s, and it is a beautiful, meditative, beautifully shot film that allows you to just sort of slowly unravel some of the stress in your life as you watch the 4 characters of the film go through their own subtle transformations as they just find some peace and some quiet in the landscape around them. The film itself is based on the novel of the same name by Elizabeth von Arman, so perhaps it is both a spring read and view that you can try during this spring year. Spring is a time of new life, and nowhere is this more true than on a farm. You have baby animals being born, you have seeds being planted, planning for the growing year ahead. And the next film, I feel, really taps into some of the energy that you can find on a farm, but in a whimsical, delightful way that is sure to warm your heart, and that is the film Babe. This film is just beautiful, lovely. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend picking it up. It tells the story of this wonderful pig with lots of personality, Babe, and shows you the life on the farm around Babe. It's so good. If you've never seen this film, but perhaps let's say you really enjoyed Paddington 2 or Paddington, this has the same sort of heartwarming feeling that comes when you watch those films. Just wonderfully done. Definitely recommend Babe. Babe is wonderful to watch at any time of the year, but spring, it can especially bring just some really good feelings to your heart and also tap into that growing energy and that new life that's around in spring. Talking about new life and transformations, Mothra is the perfect kaiju film to watch during the early spring season, especially because the original Mothra film actually features a lot of time of Mothra in the cocoon and the waiting for Mothra to emerge to save the day. And you know, there's that anticipation that is very much a part of the spring season, and then of course beautiful transformation and rebirth that takes place. I also really enjoy the Mothra film because it does have that spiritual element to the character of Mothra and the worship of Mothra as this goddess figure. It's also just a ton of fun, lots of bright colors, so I think Mothra makes a wonderful spring, especially early spring viewing. Now with spring, you can also run into the problem of allergy attacks and actually not feeling super great. I know that this can happen to me, and sometimes when you're hit with a really bad attack of the allergies or a spring cold or spring flu that may be going around, you may find that all you can do is just sort of lay down on the couch and want to watch something that helps lift your spirits, makes you feel a bit better, but also maybe taps into some of the spring fever that's going around, because spring is also a time where people may feel really Twitter-pated, and you may have a new crush, or you may just be crushing on the person that you already have in your life. And there's nothing better to watch when you are not feeling good but want to have something that lifts your spirits and has lots of romance than the BBC adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, starring Colin Firth as the most perfect Mr. Darcy there has been and probably ever will be. The BBC adaptation is great because I think it is the best at really tapping into the humor that's within the book Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Darcy is really perfectly displayed by Colin Firth, how he's nervous and uptight around people and how that's a bit of more of a defense mechanism for him. It's a beautiful display of the relationship between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, and there's a lot of chemistry between the two actors within this film. You also have a lot of lush green scenery that's within this adaptation of the film. And of course, rain does play a very important plot point at one point during it. So if you find yourself wanting something romantic and beautiful that takes you away to another time and place and just feels like a really soft blanket being wrapped around you, Pride and Prejudice BBC edition is definitely what you should turn to. Confession, spring is not one of my favorite seasons. I actually like longer nights, but a lot of people really sort of pop up and their personalities change when spring comes. They're just feeling a lot happier, lighter. You may start to notice people within your community having more smiles on their faces. I think this is especially true if you work in any job that has a public service element to it. You may notice that people are just a lot more chatty and just have a lot to say and are just beaming with delight because of the spring season and having more of that sun in the sky. And that's why I think the film What's So Bad About Feeling Good, that stars George Peppard and Mary Tyler Moore, is a film that really captures some of that happy energy that can be around during the spring season. Bonus of the film is that Mary Tyler Moore has some really cute outfits that may help inspire some of your spring and summer wardrobe. Basics of the plot is there is an epidemic that takes a hold of New York City, but this epidemic has everyone feeling really good. And what happens when everyone starts to feel really good in a city? Who could possibly be against that? You'll have to tune into the film to find out. A nice breezy comedy that can tap into some of that bright spirit that spring can bring. So those were 5 classic films and, well, a TV adaptation that you may want to check out during early spring to just tap into some of the vibes that are going around. And if you're like me and don't really actually love spring all that much, these films can definitely help maybe sort of ease you into the season. Thanks so much for watching My Mom Thinks I'm Cool. Bye!